All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of Over the Top Rope. This one's a little bit different. I don't have a guest, I have a co host. I've got my
Yeah,
man,
baby.
the Silver Fox. What's going on, man?
What's up, Daddy? How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm excited about this. I'm excited about the co-hosting aspect of it. I'm excited about getting your opinions on things, and just go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody who may not know who you are yet.
Yeah, absolutely. For those that don't know, I am the Silver Fox. On Twitter, I am the Silver Fox RSJ. I've been in the wrestling sphere for a number of years now. I've been a wrestling fan for 30 years now. So, like we were talking about, I don't know much. I just know that I'm a 30 plus year old Mark that loves to talk wrestling. So,
Same
just here to
here.
have some fun.
Same here, man. And me and you were actually in Greensboro at Collision, and we got the bird's eye view. We got the first hand of, you know, Punk statements
Yep.
before, after the full context, and we're definitely going to get into that a little later on in the episode. And one of the first things that I think we can tackle is maybe it's a thing, maybe it's not a thing, maybe it's just something the trolls on Twitter like to rile people up with.
My
But
God, Twitter must exist as a bridge because there's nobody on there except for trolls. Those, never mind. This is a family show.
oh man, you can go wild, my brother. Go wild. Let the silver fox run wild on you. All right, man. Let's get into it. Is there a wrestling war between TV promotions? Is that war there? Is it maybe invisible? Is it not there?
So, I have a Sorry, I got to turn this thing off. It's going nuts. I have a unique kind of outlook. I was old enough to know that there was a Monday Night War at the time that there was a Monday Night War, and I was actively participating in watching it. And the key part to any war is the battle, right? If there's no battle, there's no war. So if there is a war, it's the worst battle in the world because all of the battling takes place on different days. Like somebody should really coordinate the battles and let everybody know, listen, there's supposed to be a war going on. The only war that I have seen, and I've been lurking online for quite a while, and it's only been in the last number of months that I've been pretty active. And the only war that I have seen are the people yelling at clouds, are the WWE fans and the AEW fans, and just that's the only war, man. Like that's it. I can't tell you how much it warms my heart to see people. And somebody commented yesterday, I think it was, they commented that they were afraid to go to an AEW show because they've been a WWE fan and they thought we were all so toxic. And that's what they said. I thought all AEW fans were toxic. And I got there and I realized I had been fed a line and these folks are just out to have a good time. I had such a great time. Like, that's what it's about. There is no war. And if somebody's out to make it a war, I tell you who is. There are people making it a war. It's the people profiting from making it a war.
Very good point.
You know what I
Very
mean?
good point.
I mean, there's a couple old heads, no effect, nothing against them. Everybody who is still in the wrestling business, I mean, let's be realistic. I hadn't even had a cup of coffee. I don't even have a cup. You know what I mean? Like my opinion don't mean nothing, and I ain't crazy enough to think it does. But I can tell you that if you think there's a war, you're wrong. There's competition. Sure. There's competition where I work. There's competition where you work. If there ain't competition, people aren't growing and getting better. Period. And at the end of the day, you have to have people on the same channel, on the same night, at the same time. You can't have a war in 2 different days. The only war would be Ring of Honor and Impact, and Impact comes on after Ring of Honor starts. So that ain't even that good of a war. They're late to the party. Like, come on. There ain't no such thing as no wrestling war unless you profiting from it, which if anybody wants to donate $5 a month to the Silver Fox RSJ, I'll tell you it's a war all day long, baby. That's the way I work. I'm easy. I am absolutely for sale.
I think that the biggest thing is what you already touched on. People don't know the difference, or maybe I'll say they're willfully ignorant to the difference between competition and an actual war. And I think another thing people are forgetting is if, let's say, they want it to be a war. Let's just say, oh, it's AEW versus WWE. We've been down this road. WWE can be beat in the ratings, but at the same time, this is 2023. Ratings are about as meaningful as a screen door on a submarine in 2023. So are they competing, or is there a ratings war? Is there a merch sales war, ticket sales war? I mean, you could maybe somehow do some mental gymnastics and digging to make it a ticket sales war, but then at the same time, you would have to piggyback off that and go to, well, if AEW opened up every seat in Greensboro, which holds like I think like 32,000, I think, can they sell that 32,000? Well, they don't normally open the top sections for AEW, so we'll really never know. And so I'm right there with you. I don't think there's a war. I think people want it to be, and I think people are jumping through hoops to try to make it a war.
Right.
And then those of us that know that's not the case, there's no war. We just look at it and we just kind of, we just kind of chuckle at ourselves, like exactly like you were saying, like this person's on Twitter, old man yells at clouds kind of thing.
Well, and what's crazy is when people realize that Twitter is such an echo chamber, it's literally like 5% of the audience. That's it. And if I stand in a room with all of my best friends, we're all going to have the same opinion. War is sexy. The idea, the clickbait of war is sexy. But there's no honest way to look at it, because if you look at, audience, who draws the biggest crowds? Well, that depends. Are we talking about 100% occupancy like you were talking about, or are we talking about a percentage of what's available? Because if that's the case, then, okay, that's going to be skewed. Well, what about merch? Okay, well, who's looking at the advertising for the merch? You got to ask those second and third level questions. And people that are trying to advocate for a war are hoping that the audience isn't smart enough to ask those second and third level questions.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Mm-hmm.
And if the audience isn't smart enough to ask it, they're not smart enough to realize they're getting sold a bill of goods. And that's what, that's my biggest thing in the world is, look, man, you got to ask, you got to look at it from all angles. My wife hates me some of the times because like something happens and I'm real quick to go, well, we may need to, let's look into that. Let's peel the onion, and I think wrestling fans and wrestling journalists, and they want a war. They want something to be sexy. It's fun to be in competition. Yep. It's fun to have drama. And we're going to get into this later. But, that's the wrestling business, much like every other entertainment industry, loves drama. And without it, it's kind of stagnant. Drama is what keeps us exciting. TV, reality shows are a big deal for a reason. And all they do is peddle drama. And war is something that is on the forefront of every wrestling fan's mind, because every 5 years I get a documentary sent to me about the Monday Night War from 1995. It's like, dude, like let's look at what happened in the last 30 years of wrestling. Let's not worry about 95. Let's not worry about 96 when Hogan drops the leg. Let's look at something post 2005. Okay, well, here's one documentary about the Ruthless Aggression era. That's it. It's like, all right, well, like, we were still pulling numbers. We were still doing stuff. People have been making money off of the term wrestling war since the late 90s. And they are bleeding that pig dry. There is nothing else coming out. And people are just praising and like begging for it to come out. On the flip side, like if it was a war, it would be real exciting. I was looking at, we talk about ratings, looking at Dark Side of the Ring. They were talking about the Bash of the Beach episode. They were talking, Russo was talking about how, the business was in decline, bro, and all this other stuff, bro. Well, the average rating of a Monday Night Nitro, which was apparently in decline and was at scraping the bottom barrel. I mean, and I was watching it. It wasn't, captivating television. It still was drawing like a 2 rating, which is right in line with what Raw and SmackDown draws today.
Mm-hmm.
And then, people say, well, ratings are different. Nah, eyeballs are eyeballs. we're still pulling in millions of eyeballs.
Yep.
Like, at the end of the day, you could say, well, the game has changed. It has, but at the end of the day, it's eyeballs are eyeballs. And more eyeballs in wrestling is a good thing. But there is absolutely no competing eyeball war. I can't buy it. I cannot buy it outside of a marketing standpoint and a hot term to sell, clicks. Nah.
Yeah, because we all know people are looking to the Fightful Select Patreon for that news first, and
I want to go on record. I got nothing against anybody that tells the truth. I got nothing against anybody that sends out good information into the world. And today, as a matter of fact, there was a news story that came out, and I'm sure we'll get into it. And Sean Ross Sapp got called out on the wording, and he addressed it, and he didn't change it because what he said is technically true.
Yep.
It just sounds sexier than, making it sound boring. And that's his job, is to make it sound sexy. So I got nothing against people making a living, because I know everybody's going to think, oh, Fox doesn't like that. No, Fox don't like people that just lie. And some people been in the business for 30 plus years, and they need to lie to sell clicks. And other people don't. I got nothing against Fightful and all them. But yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
And I think that with wrestling, because it is so, especially TV promotions, staying within the confines of the topic, there's 2, maybe 3 promotions that everybody looks to and everybody follows. And like in other sports, let's say like football, you've got 32 teams, you've got hundreds, if not thousands of players between first string, practice squad, and all that. And I was watching ESPN the other day at work, and there was on the ticker at the bottom, it said that defensive lineman so and so hasn't showed up to camp or to preseason, and he's holding out on his contract. And it was just on the ticker at the bottom. There was no, ESPN, 10, 15 second, little touch on it or anything like that. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, for instance, like when it came to light, I think it was last January, where Cody had been working in AEW for like 3 weeks to a month without a contract. It was just like, oh my God, please stop the world. Everybody take the week off from work. We're going to sit in front of the TV until we figure this out. And for a good month, it was like, oh, people were photoshopping Cody in like Saudi Arabia. People were photoshopping Cody at like a train station. And it's just like, with other sports, there's just so much more to follow, so much more going on, that it doesn't really get that highlight as to where when a wrestler does or say something, like we are going to get into, that immediately, not even 30 seconds after this person says that, it's out in the universe. And so now those journalists, they're like, well, we know that we can get this instantly clicked on, or we can get this instantly advertised, or we can get this instant monetization off of it. So let's just say, oh no, WWE's moving their pay-per-views to Sundays to compete with AEW pay-per-views, and we're all just sitting back like, okay, come on, like there's no war. You can spin it however you want to, but like you were saying, when you look at that first, second, third level, and you actually start following that trail, it's just like, okay, come on, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, are they moving pay-per-views to Sundays to compete with AEW, or are they moving it to not compete with UFC?
And that's what it comes down to. It's like, okay, all right, we're at that second level of questioning. And that third level of questioning is, are they moving the pay-per-views to Sunday because the majority of people, especially blue-collar people, have Sundays off, as to where they might work Saturday nights. And
that logic of yours is showing out. That logic is showing. You better calm down.
Yeah, I hope that nobody like clips this video and like posts it. It's like, oh my God, what you guys talking about? And you can sit there and spin it all day long to, hey, there's a wrestling war. Tony's competing with Triple H. Triple H and Shawn Michaels are competing with Tony, and it's just like it's not there. It's a make believe wall, and the mime is sitting there doing like this when you can just walk right through
right.
it.
No, I think it's just fun. But I tell you, I never thought about, and you hit it, and you've opened up a whole new line of thinking. is you might have, I don't know, let's say 200 top tier wrestlers, maybe, and if you include in the world, let's just be fair, let's say 500 top tier wrestlers in the world. Bro, there's probably 500 professional soccer players. You know what I mean? Like, I never even thought about that, and that is so true because I mean, that's wow. Yeah, that'll every time I see something, I'll think about that. Good stuff.
Yeah, and it just I watch ESPN at work sometimes, and I saw that ticker at the bottom. And I do follow football, not really much outside of the Panthers because Carolina Panthers. But I seen that at the bottom, and I was like, if wrestler A, B, or C didn't show up to a pay-per-view where they were scheduled to be on, they were booked to be on, it would just be like the world would just end. And as to where this probably very good offensive lineman, obviously, who thinks he's good enough to hold out for more money or to be traded, wants to hold out. It gets a little scroll across the bottom of the ESPN ticker every 2 to 3 minutes. So
Afterthought.
it's just so much more that you've gotta put into it and go to that second and third level of thinking. And along the lines of attendance and ticket sales, I think there is no question at all that WWE has a huge moneymaker in Roman Reigns. You can see the SmackDown attendance on, every Friday when you watch it. And if you follow Wrestle Tickets, they post the ticket sales for each event. And even 4 or 5 days before SmackDown, there's like 500 tickets left. And the biggest thing with Roman Reigns, he has been pinned recently where he hadn't been the last 2 years. Jay pinned him at the pay-per-view for SummerSlam, but he is over 1,000 days as the Universal Undisputed Championship. I have pretty strong thoughts that people in my Twitter group chat have very much uh, told me that I needed to be put in a straitjacket. But what are your thoughts on in 2023 with every social media platform available? What are your thoughts on a TV promotion? Arguably the top TV promotion having a champion that is over 1,000 days.
Sure. That it's a first off, I don't watch WWE every week. I'll be very upfront with that.
Same
But I
here.
do watch, and I do watch pretty regularly. So hats off to Roman Reigns. Up front, anybody, because what people don't realize, and maybe they do, I don't know, it is such a massive, massive accomplishment to have the company believe in you, to put a belt on you. Number one. No matter if it's a indie promotion, no matter whether it's a, bigger promotion that does, bigger shows like GCW or something like that, or a TV promotion. If the promoter believes in you enough to put a belt on you, that's a phenomenal sign. For someone to believe in you enough to put it on there for 1,000 days, buddy, that's strong as puppy piss. That's strong. Like, ain't no way to get around that. Is it needed? I think it's an interesting concept with Roman. I think Roman's the only guy that it'll work with because Roman Reigns was, going all the way back to the Shield, I think Roman Reigns was forced down the fan's throat. He was made clear that is the guy. We don't have a say in it. It's none of our business. We can't vote. We can't talk. It don't matter. That is their guy from that day. And he showed loyalty and work ethic, and he showed up and showed out every single time knowing that he is the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of the hate Roman Reigns gets is because now he is the guy. Like, WWE said it long enough until, it took a whole, in my opinion, if the pandemic never happened, we wouldn't be seeing Roman Reigns as the tribal chief. I think him getting away from the fans and the fans being unplugged allowed him to actually be a heel and actually do his job the way he did it. And I think that's what shot him into superstardom. Is it needed, though? I mean, man, everything is all about what have you done for me lately. It don't matter what you did in the past. It doesn't matter. You can't rest on your laurels in anything, especially not the wrestling business. That's just a dying battle if you try to think you're going to do that. I do think it was needed. I don't think it's ever going to be seen again. Probably not in our lifetime.
I don't think so either.
The closest we got to it was CM Punk with over what was it, like 400 and some odd days, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
That's the closest that I think we got to it. But what WWE needed to do, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, even though I thought I was wrong once, I was just mistaken. I think they had to get rid of Hulk Hogan being the flag bearer when it comes to those records. I think that's what it boils down to. Will Roman break Bruno Sammartino? I don't know. Will he break Hogan? I don't even know. Has he broken Hogan yet? Let's ask the Google machine.
Yeah, there you go. I just looked at it yesterday, and I think he's just shy or just over. I can't remember.
He has not broken it yet. Roman or Hogan grand total. 1474. It's going to be a long time on the island of relevancy.
Yeah.
Right now, Roman's at 1,079. I think that's what's going to happen. I think they are out to. They want to have a modern era champion. They don't. They need to have a foundation. If you're going to sell wrestling as being better than it ever has been, you have to be better in all accounts, period.
Yep.
Athleticism, in professionalism, in exposure, in all that stuff. It has to be better. And title reigns is something that I think now are starting to look at. And I would be willing to bet Gunther is going to surpass old Honky Tonk because they want to get rid of that. They want to get rid of the idea of the golden era wrestler. And they want it to be the main performer. That's what they want you to. When you look in the record books, you will think about the athleticism that is wrestling today. That is what I think is it needed? Needed is a hard word, but it does make the world know Roman Reigns is the guy. And what it also does, in my opinion, if Roman Reigns ever, even if he's 50 years old and is working, whatever promotion may be around at that point, and he decides to leave WWE, they'll still treat him as the guy. You know what I mean? I mean, there's people now that look at even let's go back to the war, right? Hogan left, Macho Man left because they were too old for WWE, which I mean they were like Chris Jericho is older than they were then, but they left and they still had an entire career after they stopped being the guy just because of what they did during that time period. So I'm okay with it. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm not ridiculous. I'm well aware and have been for a long time that it's not my world. That's kind of crazy, People, nowadays everybody has this whole spotlight on themselves, and the only spotlight I got is this one that's on my face. But other than that, when I leave this room, Bubba, I ain't got it. And seems like everybody else does, man.
That ring light is it, huh?
That ring light works, baby. That's the only spotlight I got, man. And some people, they think if wrestling doesn't make them happy, then something's wrong. The booking's wrong. The this, that, and the. That's my god dang. Is that my pet peeve? I can't stand somebody to tell me how bad the booking is. Are you kidding me? Like last time I checked, ain't nobody a professional booker except for the people who are professional bookers. And y'all ain't arguing on Twitter with everybody else. Just say you don't like it. You cannot like the programming. You cannot like what happens, but that don't mean the booking's wrong. So I got absolutely nothing against Roman Reigns being a 1,000-day champion. I'm glad he's doing it. I tell you, more than anything, I'm absolutely jacked for the NOI family, because that is, I think, just another beautiful piece of the pie when it comes to the relationship between WWE and that family. That I think is real cool, personally.
I agree with you on that end. I do. I agree with you on that end. And I have somewhat of the same opinion, but slightly varied, slightly
Well, you're
different.
wrong.
I'm just going to end the live right now.
We're done, baby. No, go ahead. Let me hear it.
Cut it. So I think it's impressive. I am always a fan of seeing something and being like, that's a part of history. And my spirit animal is an elephant. My Patronus is an elephant. What are elephants known for? They have an excellent memory. I do too. I can tell you exactly where I was the day President Clinton got impeached. I was at a restaurant, 25, and it was flashing up on the TV. We were at lunch, and I still remember that. I'll never forget it. And I was at work when Donald Trump got impeached. And so I have this excellent memory. So it's going to be cool to look down the road and be like, I got to witness that. I watched that not every week, like like you were touching on, but I was alive when that happened. People have the Challenger space shuttle. Most people can tell you exactly where they were the day that happened. Most people can tell you exactly where they were the day JFK was assassinated. Obviously, it's different history, a little more positive history, but it's so cool to say that I watched that in real time. I could watch that every week. I didn't know what was going to happen each week, as opposed to people 6, 7, 10 years from now, they'll go back and watch it on Peacock or whatever streaming service they have, and we'll probably have seen hundreds of highlights and kind of already have an idea of how it plays out from beginning to end. And we have that luxury with Roman Reigns. We don't know how this is going to play out. We don't know if he's going to beat Hogan's record. We don't know if Cody's going to be the one to dethrone him, although he is being absolutely catapulted into that spot. We don't know that. We don't know if he's going to break San Martino's record. All of this stuff is unknown to us, and it's exciting. We can get behind it, and we can say that we witnessed it in real time as it happened. That's my positive of the situation. However, my negative side of the situation is we live in a world where everything is here and now. Everything is in our lap. Everything is in our hand. We want food, it's here in 10 minutes from DoorDash. We want a coffee, it's here in 10 minutes from DoorDash. We want our groceries, they're here in 45 minutes from Instacart. If you want to watch a movie, you pull up Netflix, Hulu, whatever, and it's all right there. If you want to go back and watch Collision from past Saturday night, it's on demand, it's right there. And people, I think, are starting to get, I'm not going to speak for all people. I'll say some people who were on board before, I think, are now starting to kind of get into that. Oh, okay, where are we going with this? In a world where your YouTube shorts are 3 minutes, your TikToks are 3 minutes, and this guy is on your TV every single week as a champion. So I think the world we're in now, where we're so go, 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 hurry, 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 I think it's a little bit lost, where they're trying to exactly what Roman said after I think it was after Mania or the Rumble one, is we're not YouTube shorts, we're cooking filet mignons here, which is fine. It works for the story, but I think that with each match Roman's actually in, I think more and more people are starting to kind of, I won't say lose interest, I won't say get bored, but kind of start questioning, like, where are we really going with this? When is this going to end? Obviously, like you were touching on, we're not bookers. we don't know what the big payoff's going to be. We don't know what the big final nail in the coffin is going to be. So I think that in the 80s and maybe even the 90s, more so the 80s, it was so much more of a big deal because if you wanted to see Bruno Sammartino as your champion, you couldn't see him on TV, but maybe once a month. And you couldn't really see him in person, but maybe once a month because of a lot like independent promotions today. Even the bigger promotions only ran once a month. So it had a big feel to it where it's like Bruno Sammartino has been champion for 2,302 days. He's coming back to so and so arena. And it's like, oh, damn, well, I hadn't seen him, since the last time he was here. He wasn't on their TV every week. And I think maybe Angle or Jarrett said something along the same lines, just with him being on TV every single week in some capacity may take a little bit away from it in a world where everything's just so one and done, one and done, one and done. And it's right there. Everything's instant. If you want to learn how to put a for it. And so I think that's just the real problem with it. And if like this right now when he's supposedly hurt and he's not supposedly scheduled for anything, coming up, TV time coming up, I think that it will be a big deal when he comes back. And that's all dirt sheet, rumored. So who knows? He may be on SmackDown this Friday. I don't know. But I think that does take a little bit away from it as opposed to if we only saw him like once a month, maybe like at a local promotion or something like that. But then also at the same time, I think it adds a little bit of something to it as well that in this world where everything is 3 minutes or less, we're actually getting something that we're having to sit down, cross our legs, Indian style in front of the TV and see what happens. I think they're going to start losing people if something bigger doesn't happen. And they did do a good job with having Jay pin Roman, and that just added another layer to it because it's like, well, damn, he wasn't pinned for 2 years before that, and now he was. So I just hope that they can keep those holy shit moments going to keep people engaged. And I think the longer it goes, the harder that's going to be to do. So that's my negative, spin on it.
Well, I as opinionated as I am, and I mean, if anybody can believe what they're peddling, it's me. I believe myself, man. I am the easiest dude to sell. I know how to sell me. And as much as I believe that he is going to beat Hogan's record, like, that's been my stance since he beat Punk's. So I was like, oh, they're getting rid of Punk. They're getting rid of Hogan. Fact. I still tuned into WrestleMania because that 1%. That 1%, like, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe Cody's got it. You know what I mean? And that's what makes wrestling beautiful. In my opinion, no matter how for sure you are, you could be just at bet your house on it just as sure. But he might not. That 1% is what keeps everything alive in pro wrestling, man. So, I mean, are they going to start losing fans? I don't know. There's not many other places for them to go. Because we're not like being completely transparent. AEW isn't known for their microwave storylines. They don't. They're more of the you're gonna have to sit and let it cook. Like, it's just the way it works, which I like. I mean, I remember I got into a discussion I don't know a couple months ago with somebody about Sting from '97. I was like, man, that's the most exciting thing. The dude didn't say a word for a year. He didn't wrestle a match for a year. A year.
That's very true.
As a kid, a year is the longest thing in the world. Like, the day after Christmas, you tell me I got 365 days before I can do this again? My favorite wrestler, man, he didn't say a word, but I was glued to that TV. I was eating nachos and popcorn. I was fat. I was eating everything. I didn't care. But, like, a year? And it was the number one angle. It beat, if I'm not mistaken, that was during the 82 weeks or whatever it was, or 83 weeks. You can't you just can't defy a good story.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Are they going to start losing fans? I think the fans that are here are the fans that have been here for a while. I think SmackDown. I think it's going to be interesting. I'm really going to think it's going to be interesting next year. I think I saw SmackDown is not being renewed on Fox.
Right.
So now they're not going to have mainstream wrestling on a mainstream network. Because if anybody, I don't care who you are, if you're going to tell me that the wrestling, that SmackDown is good enough to pull the same numbers on Sci-Fi, you lost your mind. You tell me it's good enough to pull the same numbers on USA, you lost your mind. SmackDown does what it does because it's free television. I don't care who you are. If you got cable, you don't have cable. I haven't had cable in 5 years.
Same.
I mean, a little digital antenna and some workarounds, I'm good.
And that's exactly right. You can go buy a $10, and I know this because I have it. You can buy a $10 black square plastic antenna.
Mm-hmm.
You got SmackDown.
You got SmackDown. That's all it takes. So next year, I'm really interested to see if they are. The core fan base is going to be there no matter what happens. I think they're going to drop some fans and ratings next year when they don't get renewed. But the people that have been there, man, wrestling fans have been around forever. We saw, Jim Herd had the Ding Dongs, and we had the Toxic Turtles, and they ain't lose us. The Shockmaster was there. We ain't lose us. I saw Honky Tonk Man. You know what I mean? We are a hard bunch to get rid of. So it'll be real interesting for sure. Because looking at it, I didn't realize we have another 400 days. If they're going to beat Hogan's record, we got another 400 and some odd days.
Yep. So that leaves, and that's the thing is us couch bookers on Twitter, we're trying to book all the way up to WrestleMania, and we're trying to jump, flip, crawl, and everything else to try to figure out how to get Cody and Roman's feud back on, before, let's say, December, so they can have that good long, slow cook story from December to April, and then Cody beats, Roman at WrestleMania. And like you were saying, we all saw how that worked out this year, and we don't know. We don't know what their plan is. We don't know what they've got, going forward, because any wrestling fan, like you're saying, that's been here knows that Brock beating The Undertaker, that finish wasn't decided till that morning or something like that. So it's they
didn't run it by me. I don't know.
They may be flying by the seat of their pants on this one, or they may have the next 6, 8, 12 months drawn up. And, the ones that leave and, kind of fall off as the wagon's going down the trail, then those are the ones that will, and the ones of like me who are somewhat losing interest in it, but is also at the same time begrudgingly turning the TV on and saying oh God, let's see what they do tonight, but we'll see where it goes. I just lost your audio, man. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I hit a button over here.
Okay, I got you.
I was thinking about this the other day, and as wrestling fans, we're so quick. If something happens that we don't like, one thing, it just takes one thing. The whole company's going in the crapper, wrestling's going downhill, and we are the doomingest and gloomingest of people in the world. God dang. And I'll tell you, I remember being a kid, and I got into horror movies when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember in 2000 or 2002, somewhere around there,
Mm-hmm.
I was younger, but I watched Scream. for the first time. And like that first 10 minutes, man, Drew Barrymore dies. And I went, oh my God, that's Drew Barrymore. And not once did I say, well, this movie sucks. Now I'm going to turn the channel. F this. Nope. The whole horror movie industry is going to crap. They're out of ideas. Blah, 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 blah. I didn't have all these great ideas. I sure as hell won't stand in on my soapbox because I was the best, horror movie writer. It made me do one thing: scoot to the edge of my damn seat and glue in.
This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, like, this is the kind of game we're playing. I'm here. Let's see what's happening. And man, I don't know why wrestling for the majority of people, at least for the online community, I don't know why. Like, what happened where we lost that? What happened where we lost well, let's see what's happening, because people are like, well, there's no way. I saw the other day someone said there's no way Cody can go back to wrestling. For him going to WrestleMania, no, that he ain't gonna make it. It doesn't make any sense. How do you know? How do you know? Like, we're so far away from that. You're telling me you don't believe that this whole year story hasn't been told? You don't, but like, did you not see in like 2014 or whatever year it was where The Rock came out the Monday after WrestleMania and said, next WrestleMania, I'm wrestling John Cena, and they built it for a year? Like, come on, guys. Like, use a little bit of your common sense. Don't get so trigger happy on your phones. I don't know what's going on, man, but like that's always been a major pet peeve. So, but anyway, let's go to the next topic, because if not, we can talk for hours.
And we can really just piggyback off that and move right on into people being unhappy. People are very unhappy that AEW has sold 80,127 tickets to All in a little over 10 days at Wembley Stadium. And this one, to me, is where we really get to see the internet wrestling community on Twitter at their absolute finest, where they let everyone know where they stand as far as in the wrestling world, if they love something or if they hate it. And the most common thing I've seen, and we touched on it in DMs the other day, is there are people out there that believe this is a made up number. They believe that there's not going to be any more than 40 to maybe 60,000 people in that stadium, and that this is all just a made up number. So Tony Khan can look like a hero, and so that supposed Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer AEW sympathizers look good. Tony Khan looks good. AEW looks good, but when that camera turns on and that TV time starts, there's going to be about 40,000 people in that stadium, and everybody's going to see what a fraud Tony Khan is and AEW is, and this poor non-biased wrestling ticks account who's reporting tickets for pay-per-views Monday night, Thursday night, or Monday night, Wednesday night, AEW, WWE. They just report tickets sold versus how many tickets are available. And somehow or another, they are on in this conspiracy too. And I don't know what part of your brain is not there for you to think that 2 weeks, around 10 days before a show, it's over 80,000. And so at what point does it click in your head that it is not good for a business to say one thing and then actually show another? Think about how detrimental it would be to AEW if they're advertising 80,100 ticket sales and the camera's panning around and there's 65 people there. Probably doesn't bode well for business. And at what point do you think there's going to be something like the tweet I sent you, that after All In, everything's going to come to light, and how these tickets were basically bought by Tony Khan and distributed by Tony Khan? I don't know where the mental capacity comes in to where you think that an actual business can say, I have sold 600 pizzas. They're right on the counter over there. And then you look and there's 15. Like,
and and they and they
I
bought
don't
those
get it.
600. They bought those 600 pizzas at retail. Let's just leave it
Wow.
there.
Okay. Okay. We're good
What?
now.
What? What? I mean, oh my God, man! And for anybody watching this, follow at Wrestle Tix TIX.
Yep.
They are this whole Wembley lead up. They have become my favorite account, and they're just numbers. They're just numbers, but the retweets are gold. Are gold, man. There are some sick people. That's it is the most ridiculous thing. How First off, I'm absolutely in love with the idea that they broke all of these records
Yep.
because I mean the last SummerSlam record was the most impressive. I think they had like the last time I saw they need like 600 more tickets or whatever to
Mm-hmm.
be the number one paid attendance in I think the world minus the North Korea show, which I mean that's propaganda. We don't count that. But you were able to do that with no card, with nothing. That is the most masterful booking I've ever seen in my life. And again, I've been a fan for 30 years. I was watching when J.J. Dillon came out and said, next week, Atlanta, Georgia. Or not even next week. It was announced on Thunder. On Monday in Atlanta, Georgia. Hollywood Hogan and Goldberg. And sold out the Georgia Dome.
Yep.
But he had to announce that match. You know, and people are just sick. They're all like, well, first, that is not even real. This not even real. The owner bought the tickets. You telling me he bought the tickets? Retail? He paid retail price for the tickets? You know how business works, right? Like, that's probably the one thing you don't do as a business is buy your own stuff at retail. Like, that. Come on now. Go ahead. Tell me about how smart you are. Just amazing.
That's what I was saying. This whole Wembley thing has really brought out the trolls and the ones that are just, I don't know if they just created a Twitter account because they wanted to say some things that to rile people up. But why are you going to get on social media, fake account, real account, and swear to the world that 2 plus 2 is 9, and think you're like, oh, I'm triggering them. I'm triggering. Do you understand how you're making yourself look? And let's play devil's advocate here. Let's just say Tony Khan said, don't open up section, I don't know, 204. I've got all those tickets paid for family, friends, whatever family and friends of wrestlers that want to come, that I'll cover their flight. I'll cover this section. They have already got tickets. They don't have to worry about anything. Okay, so what do you do with the other 79,845 tickets? And at the same time, it's like, could you imagine if the news broke that Tony Khan bought a section for his family, the wrestler's family, friends, kids, brothers, sisters, uncles? That would make him the devil. Oh, Tony Khan did buy his own tickets to his own show. If he bought 500 tickets, I bet you he bought the other 79,800 or whatever. It's just like, you're not triggering anyone. You're not upsetting anyone. We're just upset at the fact that there are people out there that are that stupid, and like there's no reason to be PG about it. It's like, you're not triggering anyone. You're not making some cool, fancy, edgy point. So it's like, why?
Man, they don't. I don't think they believe it. I don't think they believe it. They just,
100%.
they are the type of people that would adopt a pet just to kick it. You know what I mean? Like they just can't believe that crap that they're saying. And if they do, my God, I wish I sold pharmaceuticals. God, there's no way. you just got those are the people that don't have an opinion, and they go, well, I need to chime in. Let me think of something ridiculous. I got 17 followers, and they need to know. My followers know. There's dozens of us.
I
They
say it
gotta
all
know.
the time. I say it all the time. There's always the ones with less than 100 followers. Always.
Absurd. They're
Yep.
people are just absolutely absurd. But no,
Yep.
I am more than anything, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. People can believe it, don't believe it. I promise you, there ain't anybody in this world that cares less than me.
Yeah.
I love wrestling. Period. I
100%.
love all companies. I love anybody that's ever had the cojones, the testicular fortitude, the will, the determination, whatever you want to call it. I love and respect every single person that stepped through those ropes
Yep.
and that have put their body on the line to entertain me. Period. I don't care where they work.
1000%.
I don't care if they're at the National Guard Armory, if they're wrestling in a brewery. I don't care. I love those people and I respect those people. The fact now that what are we in year 4? I think year 4 of the first alternative, mass-produced, mass-scale alternative, because as much as I enjoy Impact, they never had the financial backing that Tony Khan offers.
1000%.
And money makes the world go round. As much as I enjoy and respect the performers, money makes the world go round. Money gets you indoors that were closed off to you. Like it, don't like it, do whatever you want to do, blame whoever you want to blame. It don't change the facts. But it took 4 years. And in 4 years, they were able to beat every record. God, I'm so excited for where wrestling's going. That is so
1000%.
So healthy for the business. Prime example, and I got nothing against Ruby Soho. I've never met the woman. I don't know her at all. She don't know me. It's just my opinion. I was not a fan of her character in WWE, personally.
Yep.
I didn't see any of her indie stuff before then because I know different, it's a different product, so you can't really judge people off of that product. And that's I'm an adult. I'm aware of that. But I wasn't a fan. She showed up, and it was in that debut match. She looked up and she smiled at Bryce, and Bryce smiled back, and you could see her mouth, "Hi, Bryce," and she was just so elated, and like I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. And I was like, good, support good people.
Yep.
Period. She sold me on Ruby, maybe not Ruby Riott.
Yep.
But I bought 15 tickets to Ruby Soho. You know what I mean? Like I had bought in because I believe good things should happen to good people.
Absolutely.
The wrestling world turned out, and from every company was just throwing love at her. And that's what it's all about. If you want to get mad because another company's doing well, you need to go look in the mirror. You're the problem. If you're mad because another show on the same broadcast company that you like to watch, the league, has 2 shows, and you don't like that other show and you want it to do bad, let me give you a tip, Hoss. You're the problem.
Yeah. That's just all there is to say about it. And I think Cody said it best when him and Roman were feuding. Roman made the comment that he ran away after the Stardust thing, and Cody said, "What I did when I ran away guaranteed that every wrestler in every locker room gets paid 100% more than what they would have." And no one looks at it in that second, third, fourth layer. Everyone looks at AEW started 4 years ago. WWE's been a thing for over 30. There's no comparison. There never has been a comparison. And it's like, you want wrestlers to go without a job. You want wrestlers to not make 6 figures. You want these wrestlers, simply because of the acronym of letters they're wrestling under, you want them to go make $40 on an independent circuit, $100 on an independent circle, simply because they have threatened your little bubble that you lived in for 10, 12 years where it was you inside that bubble and nothing else.
Because of a
Somebody
show
came
you
over.
watch. Because of a show you watch. It ain't like you got anything else. You watch a show. You watch a show. Come on. What are you protesting America's Got Talent people too? Get
Look
out
at
of
it.
here.
Yep. And that will that'll bring us to our last topic here. Warm it up, hit the bait 350, warm up the oven, because here we go. CM Punk made some comments at Collision, which me and you were there. We were in the seats. Ring of Honor, Collision, Ring of Honor again. We were there, beginning, middle, of end. We got that first-hand account. We heard it with our ears. We heard the tone. We heard the context. Take it away, my man.
All right. Before I do anything else, first thing I want to do, because the internet lasts forever. I've got a lot of friends that are some die-hard fans of the Elite. I got some friends that are die-hard fans of CM Punk.
Absolutely.
I like both. I mean, I bought Kenny Omega's Redcon pre-workout because it put his name on it. I am a massive fan of the Elite. So putting that out there. You know, I ain't trying to have nobody DM me because I say something they don't like. You can. I mean, I just ain't going to respond. I'll just block you. Because
there you go.
I mean, I'm too old. I'm just too old. I no arguments with you. The one thing that people seem to forget is all of these journalists, a lot of them aren't even there. They're not in the building. They don't see the news they report. They get a text or a call or a nudge or a DM or whatever. And when that happens, that information goes to secondhand information. They then take that information, put a bow on it, put their spin on it, set it all up how they want it to sound, because you can take quotes and say, here's the full article. And then at the top of it and the bottom of it, you give your opinion.
Yep.
A lot of people do it. My God, don't ever look at no recipes online and find a blog, because you'll have to hear about how somebody's grandma had a plantar fasciitis, and then you got to find all that mess. Look, I'm just trying to find out how to make lemonade. Why are you playing with me? I tried to make homemade eggnog 2 years ago, and literally like 4 hours of my search was reading through people's family history. It was the dumbest thing. But then they sell that information to you, and it's third-hand information. You and I have first-hand information. We were in the building watching him talk on the mic. So where I was sitting, there was a guy sitting directly in front of me. And I'm obnoxious. If you don't get it by now, we've been on here for an hour. I can be obnoxious. And it was the first night I'd been out after my baby was born with my wife, and it was our date night. So we were having a good time.
Yep.
And that's all I care about. I don't care about nothing else. I ain't here for a long time, baby. I'm here for a good time. And that man was sitting there, and everything he said was against CM Punk. Kick his head off he was yelling it while Malachi was in the ring.
Yep.
So I yelled, "Pick your head back on, put it on." Why not? CM Punk said everything he said. And that man in the front who booed him when he came out, who cussed him the entire time he was in the ring, when CM Punk finished talking, that man clapped, cheered, and chanted, CM Punk, CM Punk. So for everybody in the internet world that wants to make a mountain out of a molehill, here's all that happened. You got sold. You got sold some outrage, and you bought it. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Look, we all buy it. There is something in every single person's life. You will buy outrage. At some point, I call it stupid tax.
Yep.
We all pay it. Nobody's better than anybody else. Whoever your hero is in life has bought some stupid tax.
1,000%.
Yeah. There's nothing to that story. Nothing. You know, he came out and said what he said. And there's a story Mick Foley tells. If you ever get a chance to listen to it, he talks about Brock Lesnar breaking the streak.
Yep.
And the biggest thing he says is, you know, Brock Lesnar broke the streak, and I'm not going to he tells it a way better than I ever could. But the point he makes is Brock Lesnar beat the streak because he was the only person that could take the heat for beating the streak.
Yep.
Period. CM Punk is the villain we need today. He is the wrestling heel. We have lived in a bubble since Stone Cold Steve Austin became too cool. And that's not a knock or anything. That's internet's forever. Stone Cold Steve Austin is the man. But when the crowd realized it and the heel no longer was a bad guy, the NWO was the coolest act in wrestling.
Yep.
We haven't had a bad guy since then. AEW's bad guys, their bad guys, is the toughest SOB in any wrestling ring, period. I mean, I don't care who you are or what you think. Jon Moxley is the baddest dude. He just is.
Yep.
And he's way too cool for school.
Yeah, that's an understatement. Yep.
I mean, ain't nobody gonna beat him when it comes to being just awesome. I don't care what you think about him. The other biggest bad guy we have stands in the middle of the ring and gets everybody to chant, "I'm your scumbag."
Yep.
Now, 6 months, that man's gonna be absolutely hated. Not even 6 months. I mean, if I was, looking in my magic crystal ball, I would probably guess in the next 30 days or so, the world's going to hate MJF, and I'm okay with that. But that's a different story.
Yep. He's
a master at what he does.
Yep.
The one thing CM Punk has always been able to do, is get the world to hate CM Punk.
Absolutely. You can't deny that. There's no
denying. I put a thing on Twitter today, and somebody said, 4 days later, we're still talking about him. We're still talking about this dude. And you got to look at the fact that Saturday Collision, we already knew before it even started, Saturday's Collision was going to be working uphill because it works against all other sports.
Yep. It's
not a TV rating show. It's a live event show. That's the whole point of that show, is to sell tickets. Period. Yep. And CM Punk has had the world talk about that show, which ratings came out, and because of NFL preseason, and if I have to hear anybody else try to tell me about how bad the ratings are, bro, take a long walk. You put on something against the freaking NFL and tell me how well it does. But either way, 4 days later, we're still talking about what he said. He knows what he's doing. And somebody said, he's good at being a POS. I said, well, the world needs a villain. Wrestling needs a villain. They said, he's not a villain. He just, and they went on to say something along the lines of, they just hate him or something like that. And I said, well, you seem to hate him mighty bad. Like, yeah, but he's not a villain. You sure? You sure?
That math ain't mathin'.
Yeah, no math, baby. It just ain't there. CM Punk is the heel AEW needs, because you're either going to love him, and those who love him and ride with him are going to love him and ride with him no matter what. You don't have to worry about those folks. But just like he took the number one babyface in WWE and he made them hate him because he attacked him, if you're going to attack somebody in AEW, the internet has evolved wrestling. Yeah. The fans know a lot more than they ever did back when Nick Bockwinkel was around. They know a lot more than they did when Jim Cornette was out with the Midnight Express in the arenas. It was a different world. And I mean, whether you like Cornette or don't like Cornette, I don't care. Here we are 30 years later, and the man's still making money off of wrestling.
Yep.
But the man knew how to draw heat. And there'll be people say, well, he's this, that, and that. I don't care. His job is to make you hate him. Do you understand how strong and passionate somebody has to be to hate? CM Punk has figured out how to make a good chunk of the AEW crowd hate him. Hate him. Not dislike him. Hate him. That man is the villain we need in that company if we ever expect anything to get hot. Good can't be good if they don't triumph over evil. The Batman ain't the Batman if he doesn't have the Joker.
That's 1,000% fact.
Yeah, at some point, you just some dude running around in underwear, talking to yourself.
I think I know a few people like that already, but it is what it is.
Me, daddy. So that's where I don't think there's nowhere near as much heat as people want it to be made out to be. I have a lot of other opinions, but I have some deep opinions on this, and we got a lot more podcasts to do down the road, so I'm sure we'll get into it.
Absolutely, yeah.
As far as Punk and Hangman, I think he said what he said because he saw a sign and said, "Oh, buckle up, Buttercup. This is going to get a reaction."
I think you're 1,000% right, and I think that is what sets CM Punk apart from a lot of these younger guys that are considered to be top level in AEW, WWE, NXT. I think this is what sets him apart. He could have pointed out 400 other signs in that arena, but he had the presence of mind enough to know that, okay, so there was heat, legitimate or not, between me and Hangman Adam Page X amount of time ago. I see this sign. I'm going to run with it. So he knew that when he commented on that sign, how it was going to go, where it was going to go. And there's a lot of unspoken stuff in wrestling, and we've seen it with Seth Rollins and Matt Riddle several months back. They were both side by side in a chair cutting a promo on each other. Quote unquote promo ended, and Seth Rollins said, "Are you still there?" Matt Riddle said yes. They go back a little bit, back and forth, off air, and Rollins made a comment about Matt Riddle's wife and kids no longer want to be around him. That's a dig. That is, you are putting that knife in, turning it, and then pulling it out. That's not just stepping on toes. That's going there. And so CM Punk did the same thing, but he did it in much more of a laid-back context to where Hangman Adam Page, if he did see it, would be like, this guy again. And then goes back to looking at his phone playing on TikTok or something like that. And I think the part that most people don't know that happened or was left out is CM Punk said it in such a joking way. When Dax had the mic afterwards, Dax said in a joking way, "I think that might be what they call a heel turn. I don't even think we can be in the same ring with you anymore." And they laughed it off. CM Punk gets the mic
so
back.
Did the arena. The arena laughed it off.
Exactly. CM Punk gets the mic back and says, "But seriously, I want to thank you guys from the bottom of my heart. Without you, we can't do this. We sold more tickets this time in Greensboro than the last time we were there in Greensboro." All of that is key to what CM Punk said. All of that is in context to what CM Punk said. You take CM Punk saying, I see a sign that says this is Hangman Country. Well, his figures are still on the shelf. He's a peg warmer. I move merchandise. I move tickets. Oh shit, this motherfucker's shooting at this point. But I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for there's nothing there. There was nothing there. And it reminds me of this little soundbite from a almost like a parody country song this a guy made. It starts off, or I think it's the chorus, I'm not sure, but it starts off, she's a country music fan. So you cut that song off, she's a cunt, and you're just like, oh my God, what is he talking about? Who's he talking about? Okay, well, let's let the rest of the clip play out.
Well, there goes our monetization.
Yeah. And so I think you have to look at everything in context, but CM Punk knew when he said that it would be taken out of context. CM Punk knew that Sean Ross, Meltzer, anyone at Fightful, anyone at No DQ, anyone at Ringside was going to take that one half a paragraph and just absolutely run wild with it. That's exactly what they did. The internet's been talking about it for 4 days. Okay, so let's go back to CM Punk, Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley beat CM Punk in what, like 10 seconds, 12 seconds, or something like that? Twitter talked about it for a month. They couldn't figure it out. They didn't know what happened. And that is what this all boils down to. CM Punk is one of the last few that can blur the lines to make idiots like me think, holy shit, did he mean that or did he not mean that? The people who already have this predisposed idea of Punk, most of it coming from his pipe bomb promo. Once again, because we don't know if that was all 100% fact, if it was all made up on the spot. All he was told was, we're going to give you the mic, let it go. Did he think about it beforehand? Did he come up with it on the spot? Did he maybe work with a writer at least on coming up with it? That is what makes CM Punk valuable to me. He blurs the lines. We don't know what's real. We don't know what's not. And it has Twitter talking. It's guaranteed to have at least a few extra people tune in next week. Is he gonna talk shit again? Is this gonna be addressed? Is it not gonna be addressed? Is he gonna get in the ring with Shivani and go off? Is he gonna get in the ring by himself and go off? Punk or Samoa or Punk has not officially accepted Samoa Joe's challenge yet. So are we gonna get Hangman versus CM Punk at All In? Are we gonna get Samoa Joe at All In versus Punk? He knows all of this, and it's always in the back of his mind. And it is, to me, it was just a beautiful moment because as soon as he said it, I told Morgan, I was like, that is going to have the internet wrestling community melting on their hardwood floors in their living room. And that's exactly what happened. So for him to take something hadn't been brought up in several months, make it relevant again, and also bring into the equation of we don't know if he really meant that or not. We don't know if he was joking or not. All we know is the context would very much come off as joking. And I just think that's what makes Punk valuable, and I think that's what sets him apart from a lot of these younger guys is he is still blurring the lines. And the people who can't tell that the lines being blurred are absolutely working themselves into a shoot, and it's just it's beautiful to watch.
You know, I do know. I've done figured it out. I know exactly what it is. The fans aren't actually the mad ones. The mad ones are the action figure collectors.
You're not wrong at all there.
They're just mad because they overpaid for a Hangman figure a year ago, 6 months ago, whatever it was, and now they're on clearance at Walmart. That's what it is. They're just mad.
Yeah, those the dudes wearing sweatpants standing around in Walmart are a little perturbed.
Pissed. Just pissed.
This is the point in the show where we're going to kind of end it, round it out, but we're going to end with our closing marks. We're going to get a small rant each of us about something that we did not talk about tonight. Silver Fox, the floor is yours. Give us your 2 minute closing marks.
Absolutely. So here's what I want to rant about.
I'm listening.
Wrestling fans are the worst. Y'all are the absolute worst.
Free.
Period. Case closed. Y'all are so blessed in this world. You're so blessed, and you get online every single day and you bitch and complain and whine at a TV show, and you don't even complain to the TV show people. You complain to the other people watching the TV show people. You know how dumb you are? Like any of us have anything to do with it. We're in the same boat you are. Y'all a bunch of mouth breathers. Just dumb. Just dumb. And I'm sure I'm going to get on Twitter and I'm going to have 0 followers. I don't care. Speaking the truth. I am too old to be dealing with y'all getting on here mad at people for making a living. Mad at people. Oh, well, look at this person. Did you see this bunch? Why don't you go take a long walk? Take a long walk off a short leash, off a short pier, you idiot. Go and call somebody out. They work in the ring 300 days a year, and you talking about that one time they screwed up? Get a life, you idiot. You ain't never said the wrong thing. You were at Taco Bell 2 minutes ago and said the wrong order. Going to complain because somebody said that they were in Columbus and they were in Cincinnati. Whatever it is, y'all are the absolute worst people known to me. I don't know how you have any friends. You don't. The only friend you got is the dog, and the dog left you. I heard your mama had to tie a stake around your neck to get the dog to play with you. You ain't got no friends.
Boom.
Can't stand them.
Boom.
I'm gonna take a deep breath because y'all worked me into it. I'm old. I got blood pressure, and y'all working me into a tizzy. That's
you know what I think you should. You know what I think you should end that with, just to really make sure you hit that nail in the coffin. You should just end it with, "Tell me when I'm telling lies."
Tell me when I'm telling lies. Let's go.
God, yeah, no, man, that you're not wrong at all, at all. Wrestling fans are the worst, and mine is kind of along those lines as well. Mine is these absolute complete weirdos who are obsessed with other dudes' body sizes. Oh, Adam Cole's too small. The Young Bucks are too small. They're like this is what somebody told me yesterday or the day before on Twitter, that the Young Bucks and Adam Cole's are not believable. They're more like midgets. Okay, I'm pretty sure that if you put those three in micro brawling wrestling, I'm pretty sure that's going to be like Mike Tyson's pay-per-views towards the end when he was knocking people out in a minute. Nobody's going to pay to see that because they're just destroying ants at that point. I don't understand why people are stuck in 1985. Oh, we want Andre the Giant versus Hogan versus Bam Bam Bigelow. It's not that way anymore. I've said it 1,000 times: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Every living thing evolves. Professional wrestling is not exempt from that. I've said that word for word 1,000,000 times. Why in the world are guys like Adam Cole and the Young Bucks not allowed to wrestle because of their size? When we watch wrestling, are we not asked to suspend all belief? If I'm not mistaken, I do believe at one point Rey Mysterio beat Great Khali, Big Show, and who was the other? I can't remember. There was another guy in there. I can't remember. But it was three dudes over 7 foot, and Rey Mysterio beat them. But somehow, in these absolute freaking weirdos' minds, Adam Cole and the Young Bucks, they just don't look the part. They're not big enough. They don't have the body size. They're not pumping steroids. They don't have 22, 24-inch pythons. And it just, I don't understand it. I don't understand it. If you don't like guys who can get technical and do flippy shit, just I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I've got, you probably are the type of person to get an extra fry at McDonald's and be like, no, you gave me extra fry. I don't want it. Can you take back? You're just weird. That's all I know to tell you. Ran over.
I, I had somebody try to argue with me about John Silver, and they said you can't believe he's a legitimate threat. And I was like, the dude's shaped like a fullback. What you? He's shaped like a fullback in the NFL. Like
He's a bowling ball.
who's not gonna believe this? He's like, you can't believe that. You can't. Well, yeah, I bet you I can. Watch me block. That's a whole show on itself.
Oh yeah, and we will get into that, my man. This first episode of Over the Top Rope with a co-host, SilverFox, man, you killed it. I enjoyed every second of this, and I hope at least one person sees this. And yep, there it is. So, oh man, but like I said, man, that's gonna do it for this episode. We will absolutely get some more in the books. We can go ahead and start planning. I really enjoyed every second of it. I was kind of nervous about doing the host co-host thing, but it went better than I thought it would.
Yeah, no, I think I've had an absolute ball. I can't wait to Tokyo. You have to get over it because purple and silver is what? Oh, dang! He said you suck. Get him, Tokyo. Get him.
Well, I hate to tell you, but not gonna happen. You got a better chance of French kissing Freddy Krueger in a phone book than you do of the co-host going away. So
we're gonna end on that one.
Yes, sir.
Let's go out on that one.
That reminds me that we are gonna definitely do another episode. We'll do it again, man. We'll come up with some topics, and I like the closing marks because hopefully we can get people worked up. So
that's what it's all about, baby. So guys, follow me on Twitter. I'm at the SilverFox RSJ. I don't know when we're going to be doing it again, but I'm sure we'll have some information out to y'all as quick as possible. So
absolutely, we'll get it all set up, and I really appreciate all you guys, and have a good night.
Thanks, guys.